Number 20. When you buy from large corporations, you support the increasing consolidation of wealth and power in the hands of the few. Chain businesses often take those dollars directly away from smaller local businesses that cannot afford to lose the income. By making your purchases at local businesses, you spread that wealth out to more local people and increase your community's standard of living. This is because local businesses rely more on local suppliers and service providers, forming a kind of local economic web of interdependence that creates jobs and a thriving community. Therefore, every dollar you spend at a local business helps your community maintain its individual character, uniqueness, and diversity while supporting your neighbors in their quest for the good life. Paying in cash rather than by credit card can also help local businesses, as they are often the ones least able to afford the hefty fees the credit card companies charge them for each and every transaction. Look in the phone book for local alternatives to large corporate chains. Number 21. Nitrogen in its gaseous form is often used in situations in which it is important to keep other, more reactive atmospheric gases away. It serves industry as a blanketing gas, for example, in protecting materials such as electronic components during production or storage. To prevent the oxidation of wine bottles are often filled with nitrogen after the cork is removed. Nitrogen has recently also been used in blanketing fruit after it has been picked to protect it from rotting. Apples, for example, can be stored for up to 30 months if they are kept at low temperatures in an atmosphere of nitrogen. In addition to these applications, nitrogen is used in oil production, in which it is pumped in compressed form underground to force oil to the surface. Ordinary air cannot be used for this purpose because some of the gases that make up air would react with the oil, producing undesired byproducts. Number 22. The bigger the group, the greater the benefits, up to a point. Communities of humans tend to be relatively stable up to around 150 people. This appears to be the optimal size for a cooperative group of humans, both across the world and throughout history. It is thought to reflect limitations in how much social information a human brain can keep track of, not just regarding their own relationships, but other people's too. Our capacity to sustain larger cooperative groups than any other primate probably stems from our ability to learn not just from our own personal experience, but also from other people's experiences. Even with the benefit of gossip to circulate information about other people's reputations to boost our social capacities, if a group of humans has more than 150 members, we end up losing track of who's who. That makes the maintenance of social harmony within the group much more challenging. For human cooperatives to remain stable across populations larger than 150 people, we need to invent God or gods. Number 23. How can we make decisions in the face of scientific uncertainty? The answer is that our plans generally have to be conditional and contextual. Scientific information can help us understand environmental issues, but the policies we create based on this understanding will always depend on further study and more confirming evidence. An approach currently favored by many natural resource managers is called adaptive management or learning by doing. In adaptive management, policies are designed from the outset to use scientific principles to examine alternatives and assess outcomes. Rather than assume that what seems the best initial policy option will always remain so, adaptive management sets up scientific experiments to monitor how conditions are changing and what effects our actions or inactions are having on both target and non-target elements of the system. The goal of adaptive management is to enable us to live with the unexpected. It aims to yield understanding as much as to produce answers or solutions. Adaptive management aims to create policies that respond to potential changes, and it uses experiment to figure out ongoing changes and effects of the policies. Number 24 through 25. Recent research on solutions to social dilemmas provides an example of the positive value of regulatory authorities. In a social dilemma, a society must prevent citizens from engaging in actions that are individually beneficial in the short term, but that hurt society in the long term. Studies suggest that one solution that groups voluntarily adopt when faced with social dilemmas is to designate formal leaders who are empowered to control the behavior of the group's members. Similarly, groups develop rules governing members' conduct to preserve valuable social relationships. These informal rules are the precursors of formalized law. It is also important to recognize the potential dangers of giving authorities the power to affect public behavior. Authorities may use that power to advance their own interest, or the interest of a particular group or individual over the interest of others. It cannot be assumed that authorities will be compassionately motivated and will use their power and legitimacy to promote the positive objectives outlined above. Although they can facilitate the productive exchange of resources to the benefit of all members of society, it is not inherent in the nature of authority that it will function in this way. The effects of authority depend on the motives of those exercising it. Number 26 through 28. There was a young boy who used to go for regular soccer practice, but always played in reserves and never made it to the playing 11. While he was practicing, his father used to sit at the far end, waiting for him. The matches had started, and for 4 days, he didn't show up for practice or quarter or semifinals. All of a sudden, he showed up for the finals, went to the coach and said, "Coach, you have always kept me in the reserves and never let me play in the finals. But today, please let me play." The coach said, "Son, I'm sorry, I can't let you. There are better players than you, and besides, it is the finals. The reputation of the school is at stake, and I cannot take a chance." The boy pleaded, "Coach, I promise I will not let you down. I beg of you, please let me play." The coach had never seen him plead like this before. He said, "Okay, son, go play. But remember, I am going against my better judgment, and the reputation of the school is at stake. Don't let me down." The game started, and the boy played like a house on fire. Every time he got the ball, he scored a goal. Needless to say, he was the best player and the star of the game. His team had a spectacular win. When the game finished, the coach went up to him and said, "Son, how could I have been so wrong in my life? I have never seen you play like this before. What happened? How did you play so well?" The boy replied, "Coach, my father is watching me today." The coach turned around and looked at the place where the boy's father used to sit. There was no one there. He said, "Son, your father used to sit there when you came for practice, but I don't see anyone there today." The boy replied, "Coach, there is something I never told you. My father was blind. Just 4 days ago, he died. Today, for the first time, he is seeing me from above."